Hi, this is Alex, and you're listening to the Tap In Tap Out podcast, where we tap into discussions on mental wellness, spirituality and culture, and tap out the patterns that no longer serve us. How are y'all doing this week? I am doing really good. Thank you for asking. It is a Friday as I record. I have just been catching up with myself, honestly, and it feels great. My favorite times in the year are times like this where I can just do my thing in between situations, and just catch up with myself. So I've been listening to music I have saved, reading books that I've been wanting to read finally, like I talked about. So I just finished reading The Secret Life of Church Ladies by Disha Philia, an amazing book. I honestly want to review about it later, maybe, but we'll see. And I started reading Beloved by Toni Morrison because I realized that I have not read a lot of important Black literature. And so I've been trying to get caught up with that as well. I read online that it was a little grotesque, a little horror, and still I came surprised because the book is very, very graphic. And I am like, did she mean to say it like that? But if you've read Beloved, I didn't read it in school. Like I know some people got to read it for like literature classes and stuff, but I never got to read it. So reading it now, I'm like, oh, okay, this is why they say you have to come back to it later, and read it a couple times because it's just very graphic. So I'm having fun with that, catching up on my anime, catching up on my TV. I watched this new, it's new. I think it's what do you call it? Like a reboot? Yes, like a reboot of this show called In Treatment on HBO. Amazing. It's literally therapy, but like TV. Like it's like a therapist having patients, and each week is like a session with her patients, and it's literally the best thing ever. Obviously, I'm like a psych head, so it blew me out the water last night. I was like, obviously I was crying, but that's not hard with me. But yeah, that's how I'm doing. Just taking a lot of time to just rest and reflect. So last episode, which was 2 weeks ago, was titled Bar Behavior. And in that episode, we talked about Nicki Minaj's recent revival, if I can say that. And we broke down the fanfare of Nicki Minaj in this moment, and also maybe what it means to, like, I don't know, have that aggressive love for ourselves. I be trying to do some stuff sometimes. And so that's what we talked about. You guys really liked that episode, so I appreciate all the feedback and all the love. Speaking of all the feedback and all the love, we have some things to get to in the inbox. So I will not even wait any longer. Let me just go find this inbox, child. So I try to break it up so that it's a little, it's like we're starting easy, going into more difficult stuff. So we'll talk music first. As always, every few weeks, I try to give y'all some music that I'm on right now. Currently, honestly, I've not been looking for newer music. I'll listen to what's coming out, but like I'm not really going in there and like hunting down new songs. And so I've actually fallen back into some really old music. And so just 2 songs I want to highlight for you. The first song is from Brandy. If you guys didn't know, I'm a Brandy stan. And yes, we support stan culture here, as you would know from last episode. But the song is actually called Wow, in capital letters, so WOW. One of my favorite Brandy songs, definitely I would say top 3 Brandy songs of mine. And I think it's a deep cut. I don't think a lot of people know the song by Brandy, but it's on one of her older albums. But I love that song. And honestly, recently I discovered it's not new, but you listen to a song properly and you hear something in the back that you never noticed before, but it's always been making the song great. Like, if you listen to the song, there's like a guitar in the back. And I've never really like listened closely to the melody of the guitar, but it is just so beautiful. And when I play it now, it's like a whole new different thing. And so I think I mentioned this in an episode I did on mindfulness. The one it was Meditation for Dummies. And I talked about how something that I actually do is practice being mindful with music. And so it's like I discovered a new treat because I found this new part of the song that, like, again, isn't new to the song, but it's new to my listening, and it just makes the song feel so much deeper and has more character to it. And so I'm just anyway. So I was listening to Brandy, Wow, and after a while Spotify will give you like other songs. They were tired of me listening to Brandy. And so they dropped me this song that I did know about, but I didn't really like have it saved. But it's Fallen by Maya. Y'all, if you guys like old school R&B, this is it. I just love it. It's just a classic for me. So I'm just gonna say Brandy Wow and Maya Fallen. I've been just going between those two lately. But I put a poll out this week looking for the song of the summer because I don't think we have it, guys. I really feel like usually, obviously, it's a pepperoni pizza. So in the Panasonic, we're struggling to have a song of the summer, and I think that's fair and like valid, but all up to the artist and whatnot. But we really needed a song of the summer. I don't think we have it, guys. I really don't think we have it. However, I decided to come up, and from you guys' perspectives and feedback, I put together a bit of a petition for potential songs of the summer. Okay, so honorable mentions. I picked two songs that had potential but didn't flourish because they didn't get their shine in 2020. So I just wanted to make a mention of those. They wouldn't be songs of the summer, but I do think that they would have been songs for the summer, So the first one, not really the song of the summer, but I think it will be the perfect like car summer song, is The Thrill by Wiz Khalifa with that Empire of the Sun sample. I forgot I think it's called Walking on a Dream is what the sample is. But that song he plays like the perfect like car song in the summer. It wouldn't be song of the summer. I think it has to be like that song. It comes on and you're like, whoa, like it's on, But I will give an honorable mention as well to Meg Thee Stallion's Good News album, because I do think there were some songs on there that didn't get a lot of love, that they should have gotten a lot of love and would have been songs of the summer had we not been in the Panasonic. And so I was going to pick a few songs from the album, but I'm just going to loop the whole album as one collection for honorable mention of Song of the Summer, because, I mean, just Circles. You have SZA's feature on there is amazing. You have that Outside song. Even the Savage remix is on there. So, like, you see what I'm saying? I think Meg's album, as the hot girl coach, should be acknowledged for Song of the Summer, or at least songs of the summer. So those are my songs of the summer for 2020. However, I do have 4 potential songs of the summer. Might be controversial, but I don't think any of them really meet the mark, which is why I said I don't think we have one this summer, guys. However, all of these have potential. So the first song I have is Twerkulator by City Girls. I personally had a lot of high hopes for this one, but I don't think it met the mark. I'm not going to say who dropped the ball, or I don't know who was behind the scenes. However, there are parts of it that I enjoy. I think at the end of the day, as a whole, I don't like the song. I'm sorry. And I don't think it's going to give us, like, it can't be the peak of a party. I'm sorry. It's giving like second base. It's not giving home run. You know what I mean? And so Twerkulator had potential. Maybe if new videos come out about it, maybe, but I don't know. Next up, I have Seeing Green. Now, as a song alone, this is Seeing Green, by the way, by Nicki Minaj, Wayne, and Drake. I don't think that Seeing Green by itself could qualify as Song of the Summer. I think it's a little too long. I said last episode that I like that it's longer. It's like 6 minutes long. However, I do think that when we get our Seeing Green video and it's like a summer shoot type thing, it might change my mind, because the song alone is a vibe. Again, it's a little bit too long, I think, for like a summer party bop, but I think if we get a visual with the song, it might help to round it out as a song of the summer. Is it the song of the summer? I don't think so, but I do have hope that Seeing Green can see some more light this summer, hopefully by June. Okay, first runner-up, I have Kiss Me More, Doja Cat featuring SZA. Now, why? I think this had a lot of potential. I think that this song was like, it bops, it's good, it could come on and we love it. The visual was great. However, I think what kills it is SZA's part is not long enough. As a fan of SZA, I don't think she got enough shine on this song, and it needs a little bit more. It doesn't have that essence of like that song. Like it is a great song. It will be on the summer album. I mean, the summer playlist for sure. But it is not that song yet, But I think if we had maybe another feature on there later, or SZA got like a remix of her verse. Like it could be something, but right now I don't think it's giving summer song of the summer, you know? But however, I do have my personal contender. If we had to, you know, pick a song for song of the summer in 2021, my pick is going to be Hot Hot by Brie Runaway. Now, I know they changed the beat from the Busta Rhymes sample, which honestly killed the song for me a little bit. However, without the Busta Rhymes sample, it's still giving. And I do think it has the essence and the potential to be that song. Do I think the fans or the general public appreciate or even know her enough to make it a song in the summer? No. Hot Hot could be that song. It comes on and you're like, whoa, let's party. Like, it feels hot. Like, it's warm. Where's my cold drink? Where's the barbecue? It feels like that song to me. So I'm going to say my song in the summer is Hot Hot by Brie Runaway. Love to hear your thoughts. Please reply to me. Let me know what your thoughts are on Song of the Summer. If I missed any songs or any artists that are putting up music right now, please let me know because I'm waiting for the Song of the Summer. But for right now, I'm going to say Hot Hot. Honorable mention to the Good News album by Megan Thee Stallion because I think that's going to be it could be the vibe, you know, but it can't be the song of the summer, but it's definitely the vibe of the summer. And then you throw Hot Hot as the song of the summer. Boom. Love that. Moving on. Next on the inbox, somebody asked, do you have any thoughts on disliking your best friend's partner? Interesting question. Just a reminder, as always, I am not a licensed professional, but I can definitely tell you what I would do. Now, there's actually another question that's similar to this a little bit. I'm gonna answer this one first. So in terms of not liking your best friend's partner, I think it's situational. I mean, if you're asking me like what I would do or what can be done, it depends, I think, on where the dislike comes from, you know? So do you dislike your best friend's partner because they aren't good to you or because you perceive them not being good to your best friend? You know, those are two distinctions. Or they just suck as a person. They're just not a good person, you know, in general. Do they have like a weird political belief, some kind of weird thing about them, you know? Based on those answers, you can move in different ways. I would also ask, have you brought it up to your best friend? Like, how aware is your best friend that you don't like their partner, you know? And is there a reason why they know about it or don't know about that too, you know? But for me, if I didn't like my best friend's partner because they weren't good for my best friend, again, is this my best friend? Then I would have to have a conversation because I feel like if I'm talking about my best friend, then I'm going to have to be holding space with them that I don't hold space with other people. And so, not in a selfish way, but if I'm going to be the one, or I'm going to be having this person in my life to share my life with and do life with, well, all the things like that. Just as if my best friend had a weird affiliation with a particular, let's say a particular political party that I wasn't comfortable with. If I disliked their political position enough, then I would have to have a conversation about it, honestly. And that's just me. Some people can live separate lives like that. For me, it's situational, but generally, if it's really intense of a dislike of a certain affiliation a person has, then yeah, it's up for conversation just to know why you are with X person or with X party or with X thing, you know? And so I think you could have a conversation about it and be like, hey, why are you with them? No, I'm joking. But either way, it's going to show, I think, at some point, because I'm not going to put a certain expectation on people's best friends. But for me, I think my best friend would catch on very quickly that I don't like their partner. And so either way, I would rather me bring it up to them than them figure out because I'm being rude in a Zoom call or rude on FaceTime because I don't want to see them in the background, you know? So either way, I'm going to want to bring it up because I don't want it to backfire on me in a way that I can't control in the future. And so whether you dislike the partner because now see, if your partner dislikes you, if the best friend's partner doesn't like you, it's a different story because that's going straight to the best friend. And on in my opinion, because it's one thing for the best friend's partner not for you to perceive their relationship to be not good because that's your perception. That's not the responsibility of your perception of them. However, if you perceive that this partner isn't being good to you, like you get some side eyes or some slick comments. Because I've had that in the past with not like my best friend's partner, but with acquaintances, colleagues of mine's partners being a little bit snippy towards me. And honestly, for those people, I've given a little look to that friend like, hey, do you see this? Like, I don't know what this is, but do you see this? And they've made their choices, and so if it's something where the partner isn't for you, then I would definitely bring it to the best friend. Not to say that the best friend has to choose between you or their partner, but in a way, I feel like you have to make some space for conversation in that too, because I feel like you need to know that even though your best friend is making room for this partner, you can, and this is assuming that, they found this person after you guys have been best friends. And I don't know if it would change if it was reversed, honestly. However, and people change too. And so I'm kind of all over the place. But I think people change too. And so it's fine that like I don't know. All I'm trying to say is that I would have a conversation. If it's to the point where you're asking somebody else about it, I would have a conversation, because it's better it gets squashed, and maybe you'll be able to figure out something and see them in a different light because you had the conversation about it, because people give off energy sometimes they don't even realize they're giving off. And so I would honestly talk about it, because maybe honestly you're helping your best friend realize something that they don't know about their relationship with them as well. So that's what I would do. Cool. Next question. When is the right time to cut off a relationship that may not be serving you? Call back to episode, my numbers are gone, but episode with Jemiah. Episode, I want to say 11. I might be wrong though. I think it's 12. Anyway, I touched on this a little bit. We talking about one of her songs, and I think again it's situation. I hate saying that. It's like it depends, but it really does depend. I think that when it comes to, okay, a little backstory. I was kind of person in high school that like, as soon as I realized that like my idea of what a purpose and a friend being purposeful in my life was very strict for like a good 3 months. It was really weird 3 months of my life where I was like, if my friends aren't adding to my career, then they shouldn't be in my life. Like I even thought that playing games together or like giggling, like, yeah, that was cute, like, but that's a waste of my time. Like, rah, 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 rah. Like, it was really bad. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had cut off some really good people because of that. Thank God some of them forgave me. But I do think in general, you have to define what is serving you. Like, what does it mean for someone to be serving you? Because I think people can serve you in so many different ways that I wonder, like, what does it mean to be served? And are you serving people? Not to be like, not to call this person out or whoever is thinking about this question as well, but like, I would investigate like your needs and your wants, because I think sometimes we devalue what we want because we think that we only can get what we need from people, but it's also important to look for the wants in your life. And so if someone's like maybe used to be great to you in a certain way and now they aren't, and you feel like you want that back, it's less about, I think, are they serving you, and more about why did they stop serving you as much, and at what point is it that, like, what's the barometer for that? Like, okay, so they used to call me every week, now they only call me once a month, and so what's the barometer of like, okay, how much, if they check up on me or don't check up on me, how much of that is actually like something that I'm thinking about or something that like affects me, Whereas like I've had people in my life recently who fell out of contact with me, but I'm not going to go out of my way to tell them that they stop checking up on me, because that's not their job. They're not getting paid to do that. And also like, I've been fine without it, honestly, and so it honestly served me better to just let that go, as opposed to cutting that off. The cutoff thing is kind of where I'm feeling some resistance, because it requires some energy that you don't have to spend, honestly, most of the time. If people aren't into you anymore or they don't check for you, let that be what it is. Like, I don't personally feel like I need to go. And this is different than how I used to think. I used to think that you have to know that you're done, but now I'm like in a place where I'm like, when you realize that you dropped the ball, it'll be too late, like, and when you realize like I'm gonna be moved on. And so I'm trying to develop a new sense of autonomy when it comes to relationships and how I move in my life. And if people want to add to that, take away from that, give to that, then that's up to them, you know? So I don't know. I've been trying to be more flowy and vibey when it comes to these kinds of things, because if it's like a business relationship, that's a little bit different, obviously, because there's money involved, there's time involved. It's more serious. But if it's like a friendship, or, you know, even as a lot of us graduate college, going into the parts of our life, like things are gonna feel different, you know. So even giving things time to shake up and move around, because you don't know how many people are, well, like what they're going through, but also like if as their needs change, the way they can fulfill your needs also are gonna change, you know. So I think you can have that internal conversation about, okay, is this person, am I gonna look out for this person or hold out for this person's response, versus like going out and telling them what you need from them or what you think you're not getting from them. You know, I think having that internal conversation should happen first, and then you'll often find that you can just move on your own, you know. Hope that made sense. But thank you for the questions, guys. This week I thought it would be interesting to go over some lessons that I've learned from therapy, because I finished therapy, well, with my this certain therapist I finished with early May, and so been meaning to make an episode about this. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we will jump into the tap in for the week. We are back. It is time for the tap in, and like I said, this week we're talking about therapy some more. I mentioned therapy in episode 1. I gave a brief synopsis of my time in therapy, how I got into it. If you want to listen to that, you can go back and listen. But I thought it would be good to, honestly, for me, and also for the people listening, to go over some of my major takeaways. As you might know from episode 1, and I think maybe 2 or 3, I call my therapist Fanta on the podcast, as in Fanta Soda, because I don't want to say her real name, but she's great. Miss Fanta. Great. Love that. So, I started, I think, in around the fall in 2018, and I would take breaks, so it wasn't like consistently. So I definitely took breaks around in December. I took breaks in the summer usually. So really it was only, I would be in session with her every 2 or 3 weeks during like my semester as a college student, basically. Because that's kind of how my therapy functioned. It was kind of a way for me to kind of process my day-to-day, week-to-week in a safe space. And when things would come up, I would be able to like process that. But also she gave me a lot of tools to work on that I would use over the breaks when I wouldn't see her, you know. If you guys are curious, she primarily did talk therapy with me. We didn't do anything like the eye thing. Oh, I should know this stuff. EMDR, I think is what it's called. We didn't do any EMDR. We would do a little mindfulness intervention here and there, which is basically like she'd ask me to breathe or give me some kind of scenario and close my eyes. Like that would happen. I could count on my one hand how much times that happened. But I rarely got homework. I think it was the nature of who I was. Like I wasn't a very needy client in terms of like issues to fix, or I wasn't, obviously I'm on medication, so like it was just talk therapy, honestly. She is trained in CBT, so I did notice after I would learn some things in class that she was using those things on me. Just basic CBT training tactics, you know, nothing crazy. So in case you're wondering kind of what she was centered around, but she did have a concentration or specialty in like college students and transition. So obviously that's why I was seeing her. And so yeah, we love Fanta here. So we finished up early May last month. It was super emotional, I will be honest, because it's a relationship. Like I don't think people think enough about how your therapists, they're not your friends, but they care for you, you know, or they can. I don't think they have to, but they definitely care about you. And I think even for me becoming a therapist myself, like she was able to give me a lot of tips for grad school. So for me, it was more than just a talk therapy session. Like at a certain point, especially when the weeks were like not as eventful, then we would talk about career stuff. We talk about more in the future, and she would give me some tips on grad school. So for me, it was a little bit more than just help fix my anxiety, you know, but it was definitely more about this unholistic approach to like how I'm doing today and tomorrow. You know, we rarely went back into childhood, if that's helpful too. Like we rarely, I think I decided to talk about that stuff when it was relevant to something that happened to me in the present, but rarely did she ask me like about my attachment styles and stuff like that. Because I think part of it because she knew that I was in that in class, and so a lot of things that I was learning, I would process and connect to my life and then bring that to therapy. So I was doing a lot of the work for her, honestly. But I say all this to say that therapy is such a diverse field. And so I don't want to just say this is what you learn from therapy and it's like what you expect to learn when you go, because that's probably not going to be true. Because I'm different than you, and Fanta's different than every therapist you're gonna have. So I just want to make that clear, is that therapy is gonna be different for everybody, and whether that's what they're trained in, who they are as a person, their personality, their race, which we'll get to. But all those things encompass like your experience, and so it's gonna be unique. And so it's also why I think it's beneficial to talk about my experience, because it's gonna be unique to me. I just picked 3 main things I learned from her. This might not take that long, honestly, depending on how much I want to talk about these things. But I'll be very kind of not surface level about it, but obviously I won't talk about my personal business. But in general, these are like thematic things I've taken away from my sessions with Fanta. First one is not something that they directly taught me, but I learned that working with a white person is okay. If you guys didn't know, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm a person of color. I'm Black. Hello. And initially, I was super nervous to work with a white therapist for obvious reasons, hopefully. And how it went down, honestly, is that I didn't ask for a particular colored person at the time, but Fanta, when I called the center, Fanta was the one that did my diagnostic call, just to figure out like what I was going in for, how urgent it is, etc. And at the end of the call, she basically asked me if I had a preference, and I was like, I don't think so, you know. And I think she was more talking about like a name of a person. I didn't know anybody at the center, so I was like, I don't know. And she was like, well, am I okay? And I was like, I mean, it was like 15 minutes, but I was like, sure. And obviously, please know that you can always switch. She told me that off the bat. You can always switch if you feel comfortable, blah, blah, blah. So I decided, why not? I don't know anybody else. Let me go. And I'm happy I did it, because I never switched. My first one was great for me, you know, and it could have been better. I could have had a better experience maybe with a woman of color or a man of color at the center, but honestly, I felt fine. Like I think there were times that I did feel a little taxed having to like explain myself, like during certain moments in like the culture, or like especially I think during the protest last year. She never asked me to explain how I feel about it, you know, but I did feel like I was teaching her stuff, and that was a little bit of, it was annoying maybe, but honestly, it really wasn't, because I think having done that work with friends, like friends, like white friends of mine, like doing it for her didn't feel as taxing, because I knew it was going somewhere beneficial. I think when I try to explain certain concepts to people who aren't Black, especially if they're friends of mine, there's not a guarantee they're going to actually take it and do something with it, you know. But when she would ask me questions or ask me to explain stuff, I knew it was for her to work to understand me better. So I had no problem telling her about X thing or Y thing, or especially if it's like a certain dynamic that would happen between Black people that maybe she wouldn't get the intensity of it or what it actually means just from listening to me. I would make sure to let her know this means that, you know. And so it wasn't that bad, honestly. I was really worried about that, because I do a lot of work about that kind of stuff when it comes to like overtaxing ourselves as BIPOC people. But I do think when it came to my white therapist, I felt generally okay with it, because I could tell she was doing it, and not that my work in therapy has to benefit everybody, but I feel like if I take the time to do that, because I have the patience, then it'll help her when she's able to work with somebody in the future who's going to be like me, you know? So I was okay with doing that. And overall, it wasn't annoying. Like, it was not that bad, honestly. It honestly it felt good to like be with somebody who, and I'm not in any sense like a colorblind person. I really don't advocate for that mindset, but she did make me feel like I was just anybody, you know, like I think at first I was like, I'm so special to her, like I'm so unique, such a unique case she's dealing with because she's not used to this. But after a while I was like, I am just anybody to her, you know, and it felt kind of nice to not be unique and not be, I'm just one of her clients, you know. I think oftentimes in academia, especially as a Black person, you feel very like out there and you feel like you're on a pedestal. But working with her, I just felt like I was anybody coming in there. I was her 2 o'clock, you know, like her Tuesday at 2. And so I did not, and that felt good to me, you know, because it gave me a sense of belonging and acceptance, and not in spite of my Blackness or in spite of my personality or in spite of my social location, but just because, you know, she's paid to listen to me, you know. So it felt good, in my opinion. I think you need to definitely take the time you need to process what's going to be best for you. But for me, working with a white therapist was okay. I do think there's situations that wouldn't work for me, but whatever she did, whoever she was as a person, definitely worked out in my favor. All right, so next on my list, I have interpersonal boundaries. I've talked about this before, probably on this podcast, definitely on Hanifa's podcast, Behind Closed Doors. Listen to that if you haven't. Yes, interpersonal boundaries is something that she taught me. I've never heard it for anybody else before, except from her. The actual concept I've understood maybe in the past, but her give me a word for it, and it would be annoying. Can I be honest? It would be annoying how much it would come up, because I would bring like a story from week 1 and then week 3 and then week 5, and she'd talk about interpersonal boundaries every time, and I'd be like, girl, stop talking, like give me something else, like, you know. But obviously it meant that that's something that I need to work on as a pattern of mine, that I don't have interpersonal boundaries. And so essentially interpersonal boundaries, the way that we learned about it, as in between me and Fanta, is that interpersonal boundaries are those boundaries that aren't directly spoken to the people around you, but they still influence how you move in the world, you know? You know what? Great example. Let's go back to this, the best friend's partner, right? So I might not like my best friend's partner, hypothetically. However, I don't, if it's something where I have no right in really being upset at them about, like let's say they just hate Beyonce, and it really bugs me that they hate Beyonce to the point where I don't like them, I wouldn't go to my best friend and be like, hey girl, so she's on the hive, so I don't think we could be friends. Like, I would not do that. That's not really a fair grounds for me. So I can hold the interpersonal boundary of not bringing up music when I'm around the best friend's partner, because I don't want to hear they don't like Beyonce, you know? And so that's the interpersonal boundary. It's something that I don't necessarily have to tell the best friend or the partner, like, hey, I'm not talking to you because blah, blah, blah. Like, no. But I can tell myself, like, hey, when I'm around these people, I don't have to talk about music, because I know I'm not going to be received in the best light when Beyonce is the queen. And so that's an interpersonal boundary. It's things that I don't have to communicate, but still influence the way that I move around people, you know? And it has helped me 1,010%. Because like I said earlier, I used to be the kind of person that really you had to know what I knew about you, you know? Like, you had to know how I feel about you. You had to know how I'm gonna move around you. Like, you had to know everything. But I had to learn that, one, it was exhausting to have to constantly communicate, especially when I'm updating my feelings about somebody, that I have to let them know, hey, this is where I'm at with you today, and then next week, and then next month. Like, my relationship with you can change just by the way that I feel about you to myself, you know? And people don't care that much, just to be honest. People don't care that much about how much you care about them sometimes. And so being able to work on my interpersonal boundaries has helped me 1,012%. Even especially as a social media person now, like, I feel like there are things that I do, and I set my boundaries. I don't communicate that on social media every day because it's not necessary, you know, but there are things that I have, it's like an invisible kind of cloak over me that you don't necessarily see on me, but it influences the way that I approach you, you know? And so maybe I think a lot of us already have these in place, but we don't really name them. And so I think having had some already, it helped me to one, name them, and two, improve them, because I think our boundaries are even a thing if you're not aware of them, you know? And so I think interpersonal boundaries are important because it only requires your internal awareness. It doesn't require the other person to be aware of what boundaries you have about them, but it only matters that you're aware of the boundaries you have about them. So hopefully that made sense. But that definitely changed the game for me. And if I took away one thing in that totality of my time with her, it would be interpersonal boundaries. The last thing that I want to talk about is something that she said, or I think a lot of times we're like vibing with each other. Like a lot of my conversations, I'm just so like, as you can tell, I'm very like introspective and like, I just vibe. And so sometimes we will be like giving each other's analogies and stuff and just going in on stuff and just expounding on each other's points. It's just really good. I love therapy. Anyway, so one of those sessions we were having where we were just kind of like bouncing off each other in terms of like a thing I was going through very recently. One of our last, I think maybe one of my last like breakthroughs of definitely my biggest takeaway from this year of therapy, honestly. And this was definitely probably like late January, early February, and it's carried through the whole year for me. But this idea that what's best for me might not be what's best for other people. And that's okay. As somebody who identifies as a 2 Enneagram, I'm not crazy about Enneagram, but I am a 2 if you guys are wondering. I think I'm a 2 wing 3 or a 2 wing 6. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really like, I know enough to have conversations, but I'm not like hard on Enneagram. Anyway, I'm Enneagram 2. I definitely give off that like helper vibe. If you're into, what is it called? Oh my gosh, you read the Bible. It's like the Ephesians. There's a word for it. I used to know it. Anyway, in Ephesians in the Bible, it talks about the different roles in the church or whatever. I'm a shepherd, in case you're wondering about that as well. And so, anyway, I say that to say that's why I'm caring about people all the time. Like, I'm definitely an empath. I'm definitely somebody who it just takes care of people and cares about people a little bit too much sometimes, you know? And I realized that an unhealthy manifestation of that is that sometimes I will advocate for people's needs for my own, you know? And in a way, I realized that I had to humble myself because it's a little prideful of me to think that I can solve everybody's problems, you know? I wrote an article about this, actually. I might link it below. I wrote this article a few years ago. It's called, I should know what this is called. I wrote this article. It's called 3 Reasons Why You Shouldn't Be Everybody's Hero, I think. That's the general idea. But it's actually a really good article I wrote on a guest blog. I'm going to link it below. But yeah, I feel like it's a big lesson I had to learn because I think during last year I had this realization or a growth in my awareness of what actually do I want to do and what's going to be best for me to achieve that, you know? And in that, I realized that I would have to start saying no to people that wasn't connected to that path for me. And so I realized that I have to hurt some feelings sometimes to be where I need to be, to do what I need to do, you know, which in the end is going to benefit the people either way. And so it's almost like, I don't know, psyching myself out and telling myself, okay, stepping away from these people who aren't serving me, being somebody who can't do everything all the time for everybody, and pursuing what's best for me, inevitably is going to be what's best for everybody. But in the moment, you're not going to be meeting somebody's desires. And that's actually okay. Because they should be on that journey on their own as well, you know? And so I'm fully an advocate for pursuing what's best for you, even though it might feel like you're letting people down, and that's just something you have to deal with. You know, because honestly, it for me, it wears off. Like, I feel fine now, you know? But at the time, it felt so hard because for so long, I put people's needs before mine, you know? But if I'm pursuing something authentic and genuine and right, then at the end of the day, I'm doing the right thing, you know? And it might not benefit somebody today in their minds, but you being your best self is the best gift to anybody that you could have. So yeah, that's a really good place to end the segment, honestly. I encourage you guys to go to see a therapist, honestly. If you guys feel like you need somebody to talk to who's confidential, we just finished Mental Health Awareness Month, but every month should be Awareness Month, in my opinion. So, in more ways than you think, they are becoming more accessible to people. And so, look into your insurance, look into what your employment offers. There are some links online you can find about directories specifically for Black therapists, therapists of color. You can have, honestly, it's getting so much more accessible than you think. So I would encourage you to look into it. If not, you can find a free support group. Some group therapy might be cheaper for you. Like, there's so many options out there that you can find. That'll be it for the tap in this week. I'm gonna drink some water. We can take a quick break, and we'll make it back. We'll do our tap out for the week. It's time for the small business shout out. This is we're talking about Co-Essence. They're a small business making handmade body butters. You guys know I love skincare. But something I haven't got into a lot of is body butters, and they have such good products. If you go on their website, it'll be linked below. They're based in Harlem, NYC, and they use few ingredients to make beautiful body butters for your body care needs. I'm sold. They have really cute gift sets. They look so nice. And if you have some kind of, I don't know, wedding coming up or anniversary gift or some kind of housewarming gift, like, it feels like a really good gift to get somebody. I'm not making anything obvious, but if you guys want to bless somebody, give them some body butter. It's such a cute idea because, I don't know, something about giving something to somebody's body that feels very healing in a way. So not to get too woo-woo, but if you guys are interested, you can find them on Instagram at KOEssence, and their website will be down below in the description. Support small businesses when you can. It's time for the top out this week. I had one planned. I will still touch on it, but I think during that small business shout out, I actually had a thought. You could tell I was thinking about something during that, but it really got me thinking that another tap out that I have this week is actually how I treat my body, and not to like call the culture out, but I think it's a more than just a me thing. I think it's a person thing. I think even as I read Beloved right now, not to get too scholarly on you, but a lot of the imagery that I mentioned that's like really grotesque is kind of like the imagery of the body. The main character, Setha, is like super abused, and like her back is like numb because of, like, I don't know, her scars. Not to get too gross. I just gonna go somewhere, I promise. But I think just reading about Setha's body and even the body of her daughter and the body of this man, I think his name is Paul D, who's like around now. I'm not finished the book yet, so don't spoil it for me. But I think it's a commentary already on especially BIPOC people and their relationship to their bodies, because as much as her body is like abused and broken and not in its prime, like it's still valuable. It's sending her to work, it's sending her home. She's having sex with Baldy, she's using it to cook and clean, and I don't know. I think even in the most grotesque ways that our bodies can be abused, like, they still hold function and use in our lives. So why aren't we, people who are a lot more fortunate than those who lived back in, slavery times, should be taking care of our bodies? It's a gift to have a body that's beautiful and works and isn't whipped to death to numbness, like, not to get so like crazy about it, but I think I make a joke about, or make it kind of funny when it comes to like self-care and beauty products and body butters, and it sounds really like unnecessary, but I really do think that these items serve a really important purpose in my mental health, because it informs the way that I tell myself that I'm important and my body's important enough that I'll buy products just for my body. I can buy books and it's gonna go towards something I can invest in stocks and help myself financially. But to buy something material like a lip balm or a body butter or I don't know, a do-rag, like those things actually help heal me, and help heal my body. Not in like maybe a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense of like, hey, my body's important enough that I would go out of my way to take care of it and make it feel good. And so whenever I mention like a beauty product on here or like some kind of anything to do with your body, it actually does serve a deep importance to me that we create a culture of taking care of our body and loving it well, and not in a way of like abusing it to like for exercise or like, because I'm not, I'm still struggling with that. But even when it comes to the actual like application of a body butter or something that's like that, like I don't do a good job still of taking care of my body. They even say when you come up with the shower, you put the whole lotion in your body. Only when I'm feeling really good and I'm having a great night, I'll remember to lotion my body after I take a shower. Other than that, out of the shower, I'm good. Like, I'm a dude too, so it's I'm better than most dudes, but I still fall short in some ways. And so like, I just feel like we need to do a better job taking care of our bodies. Not just taking care of our bodies, because that's diet, exercise, whatever, but loving our bodies and appreciating our bodies. So that's one tap out. My actual plan tap out is this idea of being an aspiring something. I know a lot of us have in our Instagram bios aspiring writer, aspiring videographer, aspiring, I don't know, pretzel maker. But I do feel like there is something there that I personally want to tap out of. I think all words serve a function in our lives, but I feel like when I say I'm an aspiring writer, it's like, why can't I just be a writer today? Like I'm already writing, So this is coming up because I recently got back into writing finally. I don't even talk about it that much, but if you read the article that I put below earlier, but even in a deeper sense, like I used to like write stories and like I had a lot of ideas for like scripts even and stuff like that, and I used to want to be a screenwriter low key. But I don't talk about that side of me because people are like, what, Alex? Like, whatever. But so for some reason, I think being able to like take some time to breathe this past month, I have like the itch to be a writer again or write has come to me, which is something that I've always said, like, I'm going to wait on because I'm not going to write just because to like force myself. And so, yeah, it just come back. And so I actually started writing this week and it felt really good. And I loved what I wrote. And I was like, Alex, you be writing like, and it makes sense because I think this comes from my gift of communication. That's why I like doing this podcast. It's storytelling, I think. At the end of the day, it's storytelling. So that's via audio here or poetry or one of my little stories I write. Like all that is storytelling. And so I think I'm tapping back into my, love for writing. And I love that. But I had this urge to be like, but am I an aspiring writer? Like, no, like I'm already a writer, And I think we sell ourselves short sometimes with this idea of trying to be something instead of just being that thing, And it's for me, it's an affirmation thing, honestly, because when I say I'm trying to do something, I'm already setting myself up for failure, in my opinion, because I'm just expecting it not to really work out. And that's just how I see it. I think when you say you're trying and you feel like it's not doing that, then that's up to you. But when I say I'm trying to do something, usually I mean it's usually not going to happen. But let's just pat myself on the back that I did try, And so I'm tapping out of calling myself an aspiring writer. I'm tapping out of trying to be a better person. I'm just going to be a better person. So those are my tap outs this week. If you guys can relate, let me know. But that is all I have this week. Thank you guys for listening. I love the support. You guys have been loving the show. I love you for loving the show. Please share with your friends. Please sign up below for the newsletter coming out every other week. You guys, if you didn't sign up last week, you missed the one that we had last week. It was really fun. But you will get another one next week. Usually, I'm going to say around Wednesday. But you'll know, I'll post about it and stuff. But we're building a nice community there in the newsletter. So if you guys, we all have emails, you know what I mean? So why not just add something to your email inbox that'll brighten up your week every other week. So there's info down below on how to sign up. It's free. And this is the first time I'm mentioning this. The newsletter got it first, and a little more of an explanation about this. However, I am opening up the podcast for financial contribution. Just know that the podcast at this moment will always be free of charge to listen to. However, I have had an option since day one to open up the podcast for people to donate financially if they felt like they wanted to. And I wrote more about this in my newsletter, but I feel like something that I've always been working on as a person is acknowledging like that people can like I deserve to be poured into as much as I want to pour to people. And so in trying to like encourage that notion in me, I'm making it known. It's always been available. I just have never, ever mentioned it on the podcast. But if you go to Anchor, on my Anchor page, you'll see a $ thing, and you can set the amount that you want to contribute to monthly, and that'll be a little monthly contribution. Again, it's never required. The podcast is still free for everybody at all times, but there is this added bonus. If you wanted to give, you have that option to do so. And so that option, I think, has always been in the description by default from Anchor, but I've never publicly said that. And so if you love the podcast, if you love what I'm doing, want to support the work, all the money obviously goes right back into the podcast, goes right back into me as a person. This is a team of one still. And so if you're interested in supporting the podcast, again, it's never required, but it's always appreciated. The link is down below to do that. If you have a small business you want to promote, if you have a question you want to ask me, ideas for episodes, guest ideas, please email heartofshema@gmail.com or DM me on my personal pages at JessAlexToday on Instagram or Twitter. That's all I have. So if you guys want to support in free ways, sign up for the newsletter. If you have Apple Podcasts, rate and review 5 stars, please write a review. It helps a lot. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like I said, YouTube, Anchor, all the places. I love you guys so much, and I will see you when I see you. Have a good one.